Hi there, following on from my previous two videos about why I'm quitting the buy-to-let market in the UK, I wanted to give you a little insight into where you could go to invest in property, or where you could go to live other than the UK. Since a lot of the people on the comments that I got, there were like hundreds of comments on my feed saying that they are quitting not only property but they're quitting the UK. So where else do you go? Well, there are obvious choices of places. Like a lot of people will go to Spain and Portugal and Greece, within the European Union. But of course, we're out. The British people are out. Britain is out of the EU, so we don't always have the same rights to go and live somewhere. But I think it can be worked out if you invest in property. It can be worked out. I think Spain is definitely becoming a bit anti foreign-owned property, and I think by foreign they mean non-EU, and they're therefore slapping a 100% tax on property. Spain have gone a bit loony lefty, as they do swing backwards and forwards. I owned property in Spain years ago, and they went a bit left wing then and started taxing foreign owners unfairly, I think. So that's the way they're going. Portugal, yeah, it seems a good country. They've got a low tax rate, but have you looked or thought about going further afield? And a lot of people say, well, Dubai, Thailand is popular with British, but not many people have thought about Malaysia. And I'm currently here in Malaysia, and I'll show you some photos come up on screen here of the view from my hotel. It's a city centre hotel. It's not right in the centre, but it's fairly close to the centre, and it's connected to a couple of malls where you walk down. You've got restaurants, you've got shops, you've got everything there. You've got a station within the mall. You can walk to the station and get to KL Central and then onto the airport. And I think it's a great country. I've been here several times myself. The property prices are low. You can pick up beautiful condos with pools and gyms for less than £200,000, which are, to me, look like they're more expensive in the Philippines, which is a poorer country than Malaysia, and Thailand certainly, and even Vietnam. So there's something about Malaysia that say, why are the properties cheap? I just don't know. I mean, some people I know that bought properties said they haven't gone up much in value, but I'm not that worried about that. I'm not buying it as an investment to double my money. I'm buying it as somewhere possibly to live. The other advantage about Malaysia is the cost of living. I would say it's probably around half the cost of living in the UK. I was talking to someone who's got a sort of hatchback type of car, and they said they can fill up that car for 50 ringgits for a whole week, fill up the tank for 50 ringgits, which is less than £10. And transport is cheap, grabs are cheap. Get £1.50 here, £2 there. You go anywhere you like. They've got a metro system. They've got a monorail, inner city monorail type of thing. And I think it's a good country. It's also well connected for other countries in the Southeast Asian region. You're right next to Thailand and Vietnam, and you can go to fly off to Japan or China, Cambodia, Philippines. It's all within a few hours. So I think it's a great place for connections. You've also got a train link from the station, from the airport, right into the centre of KL, which is unusual. You don't find that in many European countries. I've certainly been to places in Italy where there's no train links. America, most cities will not have a train link into the city. You have to get a cab. So that's good. And for about £10, you can go on a fast train. You wheel your luggage on from the airport, and you're in the city centre within 30 minutes or so, and it's great in that respect. Now the other, I think the main advantage of Malaysia, which is why a lot of people are looking at the moment, certainly from countries like Australia, China, big time, and the UK and America, is that they've got a generous visa scheme. It's called a Malaysia My Second Home visa scheme, and it's very good. For a small deposit into their bank of about $150,000, on which you earn interest, and plus a property purchase of a minimum of just under £200,000, you can get a 5-year residence permit or a long-term visa to stay in Malaysia, and that can be then extended. They've got other schemes. That's the silver scheme. There's the gold and the platinum type of scheme where you can get longer stays of up to 20 years. They're not giving away passports as such, but they're giving away long-term residence, but not necessarily permanent residence. But for a relatively small amount of money, you can get into the country compared to, say, Malta, which had a scheme, a passport scheme, but that's been knocked on the head by their masters, the European Union. Those unelected officials in the European Union said you can't do it. And so many other countries have launched schemes and then pulled them, but normally they've involved quite a lot more money than the Malaysia scheme. Now, out of that deposit that you put in with them, that you leave with the government, they pay interest on that money, but you can actually get half of that back in order to buy the property. So $150,000, let's call it £120,000, you can then draw out £60,000 to buy the property, so that you're putting that money to good use. You can also draw it out for, I think, medical expenses and educational purposes. So that's a pretty good scheme. And then you've got loads of nice condos in and around Kuala Lumpur. If you go to different parts of Malaysia, you can buy even cheaper because they're looking to get more investors in their part of the world. But I think it's a pretty good scheme. I've met people out here. I've learned a lot about the country. I think it's got a good vibe here. You can get around pretty quickly and easily. The people are friendly. I find it less aggressive than London, and there's certainly a lower crime rate. Of course, there's crime in every city, and you've got to watch what you're doing. But you're not worried about somebody coming on a scooter and running off with your phone, because the punishments here are quite severe for crime. So yeah, of course you're going to get crime if you go to the wrong areas, I guess. But personally, I haven't seen anything like that here. There's certainly not people going into shops and picking up lumps of meat, like packets of meat, and literally walking out the door, as I've seen in London. I've literally seen it with my own eyes, and the staff can't do anything about it. Let's be a little bit political here. There's not that sort of woke feeling here. I think people know what a man and a woman is. There's less politics in the chat here, and people just get on with their lives. They work hard here. The local Malays work generally. Most of them seems to work 6 days a week. They work hard, and if you're dealing with a company here, they're keen to please. They'll get back to you straight away. They'll even get back to you in the evening. They all use WhatsApp, the businesses here. So sometimes they'll reply to you out of their own working hours. So I like that. I like that work ethic that they've got here. And so yeah, there's less sort of woke behaviour. This is a Muslim country, but it's not a strict Muslim country. You can drink here. You can do pretty much what you like here within the law. But they do want a bit of modesty, and especially in other parts of Malaysia where women are not obliged to, but they would prefer if they wore headscarves and obeyed the local customs. But in general, to me, it seems pretty cosmopolitan here, especially in Kuala Lumpur, and I think it's a nice country. The weather is usually around 30 degrees most of the year round. You get a rainy season where you get a bit of monsoon rain. I've had a bit of rain out here myself in May, but it rains for an hour or so and then stops. But generally the weather's hot and humid, so if you don't like hot weather, maybe it's not for you. But I personally prefer the warm weather to the cold weather. In terms of property, whether I'd want to get into buy to let here, I don't know. I was speaking to someone about their property, and they've got a few defects in the property. They've been there a couple of years now, and apparently the landlord said, we'll do the repairs, we'll give you a warranty on the repairs for a year, and after that you've got to get the repairs done. So this person's got a leak on the pipe underneath the sink, and they have to fix it themselves. The landlord won't do it, and then the landlord, when they move out, they want them to service the air conditioning system and get that clean, do some painting and stuff. It's really like a landlord's paradise out here. And then there, of course, there's the holiday lets and type of things, but a lot of buildings won't allow Airbnb people coming and going, and that's another thing. If you're buying a property, I'd suggest you steer away from the properties where there are people coming and going all night long. with their big luggage on their wheels, making noise, and that's what you don't really want that if you're buying somewhere to live. But generally, the standards of places to live are very good. A pool is pretty standard. A pool in the gym is pretty standard. A sauna is maybe a bit of a. Not everyone would have a sauna, but they generally have. Some of them are near metro stations, so you've got good amenities. Some are not, so you just use Grab or you buy a car. Even the hotels here. I'm in a hotel. It's got a lovely sort of big bed. It's got a nice view from the window of the city centre. It's a clean place. It's connected to a mall downstairs and another more upmarket mall across the road. So you've got all the restaurants and eateries downstairs and supermarkets and clothes and all that sort of stuff, and coffee places to go to, Starbucks, the usual stuff, and the local coffees, and a pool and a gym. And I think the breakfast is £5 a day, and it costs, believe it or not, I've got a deal for, I think it's around 50. I can't believe it. I'm just still thinking, is this real? But it's about £50 a night, and you barely get a Premier Inn in the UK for that. And it's got all these facilities. I'm on the 27th floor with a lovely view, big TV screen, fridge in the room. They give you slippers, they give you toothbrushes and that sort of thing, and a robe, which you generally don't get in a lower cost hotel in the UK. You'd have to get to sort of 4 and 5 star before you get those extras, if you like. So they're quite generous with the freebies and giveaways and that sort of thing. Great staff, polite. They've got the full services downstairs. So I'm very happy here. If you want to go for a bit more, you can get into sort of a Hilton, Meridian type of hotels for maybe £100 a night, depending on the deal. I go on trip.com as I'm here and start looking around. There are apartments here. You can get Airbnb rentals from about £7 a day, but I don't know what kind of place that would be. I've seen them advertised for £7 a day, but you can certainly get something for £20 a night, £30, £40, £50 a night, and you get a decent apartment with the similar sort of facilities, with the pool and the gym thrown in as standard in the city centre. So I think it's a great country. Have a look at it yourself. I've been to many Asian countries, and for me, this is the best. It's got a good economy. It's got oil. It's an oil-rich country. It sells a lot of agricultural products as well. It's just on the border with Singapore. You can actually get a bus from KL into Singapore. It takes about 5 hours. They're building a high-speed train link to Singapore. Singapore is much more expensive, by the way. It's lovely, Singapore, but the prices are double the prices here. Singapore is more like UK prices and beyond in some cases. But as I said, everything's relatively inexpensive. You pay more for imported goods, but you can get by pretty easily here. I don't know what the cost of living, I haven't really worked out, but certainly $1,500, $2,000 a month you could get a pretty good life here, and it's peaceful. I quite like it. So I'm looking at this visa myself. If you want more information on it, I know a very good agent that deals with it. He's helping me at the moment, so you can get in touch with him. You have to use an agent, by the way. You can't just apply direct to the government. You have to use a local approved agent, but I think you need them anyway, because there's a lot more to it than just filling out one form. But yeah, I think it's good. I'm talking to a British guy that is a real estate broker out here, but there's loads of them out here, and you've got websites you can look up the value of properties as well. So anyway, that's enough about Malaysia and KL, Kuala Lumpur. But personally, I like it, and I think if you're looking to go somewhere that's different, and food is great. There's also international food. There's lovely Chinese food. I've had some great. For lunch today, I had ginseng chicken soup, beautiful dish in a Chinese restaurant with some vegetable dumplings on the side. Amazing food here they have, and clean standards, hygiene standards. But if you want your international food, you've got all those as well. Your Italians, your Greek. Your fish and chips, the core blimey fish and chip shops, your English and Irish type of pubs if you want that sort of thing. You've got a nightlife scene here as well, and you've got plenty of culture here. And then from here you can go up to Penang, which is a different sort of vibe altogether. You go to Malacca, you can look at the history, you can go off to Thailand and Singapore very easily, and Vietnam and so on. So it's a great place to go out and explore. I think there's a lot of sort of YouTuber types here as well. digital workers, that sort of thing as well. So yeah, you see a lot of youngish people here that just want to work from their laptops, and they like it here as well. So thanks very much for listening, and I will see you again soon. If you want any more information about Malaysia and using an agent to find out more about the visa process, just drop me a line, charles@charleskelly.net. Thanks very much. Bye for now.